We've all heard that heart disease is the #1 killer worldwide. But would you believe me if I told you that the most powerful heart medicine on the planet isn't even made in a lab? And get this, it performs just as well as a leading heart medication in double-blind studies. Oh, and you want to know another plot twist? Your heart issues start somewhere totally unexpected. Today, I'm going to show you 3 natural remedies that science has shown can actually strengthen your heart, lower your blood pressure, and fortify your arteries. And the best part? Most of them are probably sitting in your kitchen right now. So stick around because this video could genuinely save your life. All right, before we get into the remedies, you need to understand something that completely reframes how you think about heart health. Did you know the root of the problem might not even start in your chest? Here's what I mean. Your gut and your heart are in constant communication. Scientists call it the gut-heart axis, and when the bacteria in your gut get out of balance, it triggers inflammation throughout your entire body. There's actually a name for that imbalance. It's called dysbiosis, and the inflammation that results from it damages the lining of your blood vessels, which leads to plaque buildup, high blood pressure, and eventually heart disease. Here's a perfect example. There's a compound called TMAO, which stands for trimethylamine N oxide. Basically, it's a waste compound that's produced in your gut when you eat things like hot dogs, deli meats, bacon, sausage, and other heavily processed meats. As it accumulates in your bloodstream, it starts damaging the walls of your arteries and promoting plaque buildup. One study found that elevated TMAO levels are associated with a 62% higher risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attacks. That's massive. So here's a takeaway before we even get to the remedies. If your gut is a mess, your heart is going to pay for it. And this is exactly what Ayurveda has been saying all along. If you haven't heard of it, Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old healing system from India, and it says that your digestive fire, called Agni, is the foundation of all health. When Agni is weak, undigested waste builds up in your system. That buildup is called Ama, and it clogs all of your body's channels, including the ones feeding your heart. Sound familiar? Science describes the exact same thing, but using different words. Now let's talk about the remedies that work on both your gut and your heart at the same time. Before we move on, I'd love to hear your experience. Have you ever noticed a connection between the quality of your digestion and your energy levels? Let's talk about it in the comments. All right, remember how I mentioned a natural remedy that went head-to-head with a pharmaceutical? This is it. It's called Arjuna. This is the bark of the Arjuna tree, and it's been the go-to heart remedy in Ayurveda for millennia. It's named after the legendary warrior from the Bhagavad Gita because this herb is basically a warrior for your heart. Now get this. Researchers ran a double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover study on patients with recurring chest pain caused by reduced blood flow to the heart, also known as chronic stable angina. These patients were given either Arjuna bark extract, a common heart medication called isosorbide mononitrate, or a placebo. The results? Arjuna significantly reduced the frequency of chest pain and improved exercise tolerance. There was no significant difference between Arjuna and the pharmaceutical drug. They performed comparably. But here's the kicker. The researchers reported no significant untoward effects during Arjuna therapy. Meanwhile, the drug it was compared to is commonly associated with headaches, dizziness, nausea, and fatigue. Same benefits, but one of them doesn't make the patients feel worse. Let that sink in. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Another study showed that patients taking Arjuna bark saw about a 10% reduction in total cholesterol, nearly 18% reduction in triglycerides, and significant drops in blood pressure. The pharmaceutical drug used in the angina study, it doesn't do any of that. Isosorbide mononitrate only manages chest pain by relaxing blood vessels. It doesn't touch your cholesterol, it doesn't lower your triglycerides, and it doesn't address blood pressure long term. Arjuna does all of it, and again, without side effects. In Ayurveda, Arjuna is classified as Hridya, which literally translates to heart. So this is an herb that was specifically designed by Mother Nature herself to nourish and protect the heart. Ayurveda teaches that heart problems usually result from one of two issues. The first is excess heaviness and accumulation in the body. Early warning signs are things like sluggish metabolism, congestion, and stubborn weight gain. The second is excess heat and inflammation. Early symptoms of this are things like irritability, chronic loose stools, and constantly running hot. Arjuna works on both of those tendencies at the same time, which is why it's been the cornerstone of Ayurvedic heart care for so long. Energetically, Arjuna is cooling and astringent. That astringent quality is key. It means it has a toning and tightening effect on the tissues, which is why it's so effective at strengthening the heart muscle and healing damaged blood vessels. The cooling nature makes it especially helpful if you tend to run hot or deal with inflammation. If you tend to run very cold or have poor circulation, you might want to pair it with warming herbs like ginger or turmeric to balance it out. The traditional way to take it is to simmer half a teaspoon of Arjuna bark powder in 1 cup of water on low heat for about 15 minutes until the liquid reduces by half. Some practitioners recommend simmering it in milk because the fat helps extract both water and fat-soluble compounds from the bark. Nut milks work beautifully here as well. Drink that elixir once daily and you'll start seeing results in several weeks' time. Now let's talk about turmeric, because it's good for so much more than just balancing out the cooling properties of Arjuna. You've probably heard about it as an anti-inflammatory, but maybe not about just how powerful it is for your heart specifically. Its magic is in its active compound, curcumin, which creates that bright golden color and provides most of its medicinal power. A meta-analysis that pooled data from multiple randomized controlled trials found that curcumin significantly reduced LDL cholesterol and triglycerides in patients with cardiovascular risk factors. Another large review of 64 clinical trials confirmed that turmeric supplementation improved total cholesterol, triglycerides, lowered LDL, and even raised HDL. Just in case you need a reminder, LDL is the bad cholesterol and HDL is the good one. But here's what really got my attention. One study found that curcumin supplementation was comparable to moderate exercise in improving endothelial function. Your endothelium is the thin lining inside your blood vessels. When it's healthy, your arteries stay flexible and open. When it's damaged, that's when plaque starts to stick and build up. Ayurveda has been using turmeric for thousands of years to purify the blood and reduce inflammation. It's one of the most sattvic spices. Sattvic means it promotes clarity and balance in the body and mind. It also happens to be incredible for your liver. Remember ama, that toxic buildup we talked about? Your liver is your body's main filter for clearing it out. When your liver is sluggish, more toxins circulate in your blood and your heart takes the hit. As we mentioned earlier, energetically, turmeric is warming. But here's what makes it unique. It's also bitter and astringent, which gives it a balancing quality that most warming spices don't have. That's why Ayurveda considers it one of the few spices that works well for almost every body type. That said, if you already run very hot or deal with acid reflux, just use it in moderate amounts rather than megadosing every day. Here's the catch though. Curcumin on its own has very low bioavailability. That means your body doesn't absorb it well. The fix is simple. Always take it with a pinch of black pepper. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption dramatically. Combining turmeric and black pepper is an ancient Ayurvedic practice evidenced by its presence in classical formulations that have been around forever. The easiest way to take it is to cook with it. But another great method is in golden milk. Warm up a cup of your choice of milk, stir in half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, a small amount of ghee or coconut oil to help with absorption, and sweeten to taste with coconut sugar or maple syrup. Let it simmer gently for a few minutes and drink it warm. It's delicious, it's calming, and it's a perfect nighttime ritual. Include Arjuna in your recipe and you might just supercharge your heart. If you're learning something new today, hit those like and subscribe buttons. It's the best way to support the channel, and it keeps us bringing you content to help you thrive. Now, speaking of remedies hiding in plain sight, let's talk about garlic. In Ayurveda, garlic is revered because it contains 5 of the 6 tastes: sweet, bitter, astringent, pungent, and salty. Only sour is missing. That's remarkable because in Ayurveda, the more tastes a food or herb contains, the more balancing it is for the body. And unlike a lot of other so-called superfoods, garlic actually has the receipts to back up its effectiveness. The research on garlic and heart health is staggering. There have been over 1,000 studies conducted. Multiple meta-analyses and roughly 50 to 100 randomized controlled trials have examined garlic's effects on cholesterol levels and blood pressure. And the consistent finding is that garlic supports healthy cholesterol levels and helps maintain cardiovascular function. Garlic also supports your gut microbiome, which circles us right back to the gut-heart axis. It acts as a natural prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in your digestive tract. When those good bacteria thrive, they produce short-chain fatty acids. Research has shown that those fatty acids have protective effects on the heart. The simplest way to use garlic medicinally is to crush or chop 1 to 2 raw cloves and let them sit for about 10 minutes. That resting time activates the allicin, which is the compound responsible for most of garlic's medicinal benefits. You can then swallow the crushed cloves with warm water, mix them into food, or stir them into a dressing. If raw garlic is too intense for you, the Ayurvedic tradition recommends simmering the crushed garlic in milk, which softens the heat and makes it much easier on the stomach. Again, you can swap out dairy for nut milk here. One important note though. From an Ayurvedic perspective, garlic is heating. If you tend to run hot or get acid reflux easily, you'll want to use it in moderation rather than taking it every day. Once or twice a week is plenty, and you'll definitely want to do the milk method. Also, you might want to skip it altogether during the hot summer months when your body is already running warm. That being said, I want to take a minute to address one of the biggest mistakes people make. They hear something is good for them, start taking it, and never stop. Pulse your supplements. Take it for a few weeks, then take a break. Your body responds better that way. And as always, talk to your healthcare provider before starting any new regimen, especially if you're on heart medication. All right, so we've covered the heavy hitters, Arjuna, turmeric, and garlic. But Ayurveda also teaches that herbs alone aren't enough. Your daily routine matters just as much, if not more so. And the best part? These powerful heart protective practices are completely free. First, eat your biggest meal at lunch, not dinner. Ayurveda explains that your Agni is strongest when the sun is highest. Remember, Agni is your digestive fire. Eating a heavy dinner forces your body to spend energy digesting food when it should be resting and repairing. Second, move your body daily. Now, you don't need to crush yourself at the gym. Research shows that just 30 minutes of moderate walking per day significantly improves cardiovascular outcomes. Yoga is another incredible option. Studies have demonstrated that it not only helps lower blood pressure, but also blood glucose and cholesterol levels. But also, I'm not telling you not to go to the gym. Keep in mind that the more muscle you have, the more protected you are overall as you age. Third, manage your stress. This is the one I really need you to hear because everyone glosses over it and it might be the most important. Ayurveda recognizes that emotional trauma directly damages the heart. In fact, Ayurveda teaches that the heart isn't just a pump, it's where your emotions live. So when you're constantly anxious, angry, or overwhelmed, and you're not processing and releasing it, you're not just feeling bad. You're physically wearing down your cardiovascular system. Even just 5 minutes of sunbathing, moon gazing, or slow, deep breathing in and out through the nose before bed can calm your nervous system and lower your heart rate. And fourth, prioritize sleep. Studies consistently link poor sleep with increased cardiovascular risk. Ayurveda recommends going to bed between 6 and 10 p.m. when your body is meant to be winding down in alignment with nature. You'll not only fall asleep faster, you'll also wake up more rested. If you found this helpful, share it with someone you love. Heart disease doesn't have to be inevitable. And if you're ready to dive even deeper on how to work with your body instead of against it, check out this video right here. Remember, longevity isn't luck, it's a lifestyle. Until next time.